quite significant. Your sweetheart is afraid of losing you. Before tomorrow, read this. By tomorrow, a silent choice could make all the difference between two hearts that have been circling the same place for far too long. Something changed in a way that no one could explain. Imagine yourself standing in the middle of a typical evening while someone else stops, their hand hovering over a message that they have rewritten countless times. They reread every word. Take out a sentence. Add one more. Quit. Take a breath. Take a look out the window. Then murmur to themselves, if I wait any longer, I might lose them forever. This story starts at that precise moment, not with certainty but with the brittle bravery of someone who has finally come to the realization that being silent is now more hazardous than being honest. Keep going because there is a tiny detail that is concealed in this evening that explains why tomorrow is suddenly more important than any previous day. The space surrounding them seems remarkably motionless. They are not watching the television, even though it is playing in the background. Their coffee is now chilled. Ordinary notifications appear on their phone, but none of them are the ones they are constantly hoping to see. They no longer place the blame on circumstances, distance, or timing for the first time. Rather, they start posing a different query to themselves. What if fear has always been the biggest barrier? It's not a dramatic realization. Like the last piece of a puzzle falling into place, it arrives silently and almost imperceptibly. They soften their expression. Determination triumphs over regret. They recall moments when they nearly reached for you but told themselves it wasn't the right moment, conversations that ended too quickly, words left unsaid, and smiles with deeper meanings. Take note of something significant before you turn away. They are reliving memories that all lead to the same conclusion. They are lonely and don't want another chance. They now see the true significance of your presence, and they want another chance. And from now on, every decision they make is altered by this realization. Then an unforeseen event occurs. They slow down rather than dash forward. They understand that lofty speeches do not safeguard deep connections. Honesty, tolerance, and the readiness to take the chance of being misinterpreted serve as their safeguards. That realization turns into a pivotal moment. If they stop hiding behind hesitation, they start to imagine what tomorrow might be like. They see discussions that are full of the truth rather than presumptions, awkward silence being replaced by laughing, and uncertainty being subtly replaced by hope. However, one question persists and won't go away. Will tomorrow come before bravery? That's the mystery that is subtly developing as the darkness deepens. They make a self-promise that no one else can hear, somewhere between uncertainty and hope. They refuse to let fear dictate how this tale ends. However, they still haven't found the last piece. When the truth is revealed, it won't just explain why they wouldn't let you go. It will make clear why everything that happened before tomorrow was preparing you both for a time that neither of you anticipated. As the first light of a new morning begins to replace the darkness, a faint glow appears across the room, bringing with it a knowledge that will no longer be hidden. At last, the person who has been holding all those unsaid emotions realizes that waiting for the ideal moment has simply made things more apart. They unlock their phone once more to read it one last time before determining whether today will be the day that everything changes, rather than to delete another message. The quiet around them seems to be drowned out by their heartbeat. Every memory they attempted to ignore comes back to them with startling clarity. The chat that ended too soon, the smile they pretended not to notice, the generosity you exhibited without asking anything in return. All of a sudden, their perception of those moments shifts. They were anything but typical. They were subdued calls to open up, to trust, and to cease believing that there would always be another chance tomorrow. If you know someone who appreciates deep relationships, or if you've ever thought that sincere emotions should be given another chance, you might want to tell them this story. Leave a comment below if you've ever had an instance where bravery came at the perfect moment. We would be delighted to hear your tale. Don't go just yet, though, since the next revelation explains why this morning feels unlike any other they have ever experienced. Something inside them grows unavoidable as the hours pass. Rather than picturing every potential setback, they start speculating about what might occur if honesty eventually takes the place of fear. They loosen their shoulders. Their facial expressions shift. There's a quiet confidence in their gait that wasn't there before. They start asking whether they are willing to be fully seen instead of whether they are deserving of understanding. Everything is changed by that one change. The words they used to find difficult to utter now start to come to them organically. No grandiose assurances. No unrealistic expectations. Just the real thing. They are not looking for perfection. They have no desire for authority. They really don't want to lose someone whose presence has subtly grown to be one of their greatest assets. They are getting ready for something incredibly personal while everyone else goes about their daily lives as usual. A dialogue that has the power to alter not just what is spoken but also how both hearts envision the future. Beneath all of this, though, is another layer. Someone near to them sees the shift in their gaze and gives them a knowing smile, as though they've been waiting for this precise moment. An even bigger surprise starts with that silent observation. Encouraged by the assurance that is beginning to emerge within of them, they take a steady breath and ultimately determine that fear is no longer worthy of the last word. Every justification that used to seem plausible now seems insignificant in comparison to the potential loss of someone who truly matters. They are aware that the length of time feelings are concealed is not a measure of love. It's clears throat, determined by having the guts to say things while there's still time. Tiny signs start to show everywhere as the day goes on. A familiar music playing unexpectedly, a locale that suddenly reminds them of you, a simple comment overheard in passing that feels weirdly important. While none of these events compel them to make a choice, taken as a whole, they reinforce the promise that has already begun to take shape inside of them. They are aware that the conversation they have been dreaming of for so long is just a few steps away. However, there is still one last challenge, and it has nothing to do with time, distance, or miscommunication. They have never acknowledged this fact to anyone, not even to themselves. All of their beliefs about safeguarding this relationship will be put to the test in a way that neither of you could have predicted when that truth eventually comes to light. Beneath the almost cinematic quiet of the afternoon, an unseen countdown had already started. Knowing that tomorrow is more than simply another day on the calendar makes each hour seem more precious than the last. It now serves as a boundary between the life they have been leading and the life they secretly aspire to lead. They find themselves going back to locations that evoke peaceful memories. A well-known cafe. A serene park bench. A street where their memories of a brief talk lingered long after it was over. They don't go there in search of a coincidence. They go because those locations serve as reminders of their former selves before fear persuaded them to keep quiet. As they stand there, they eventually acknowledge something that completely alters the situation. Their biggest worry was never losing you. The true dread was realizing too late that they had never really battled for the most important relationship. They become emotionally affected by that knowledge, and hesitation is replaced with purpose. All of the excuses become insignificant. Every doubt diminishes. They are aware that ideal timing isn't what keeps meaningful partnerships together. They are safeguarded by those who are prepared to choose honesty when it is simpler to be uncertain. The next decision doesn't happen with dramatic words, so hold on to this for a little while longer. It starts with one small act of bravery that almost anyone would notice, yet it turns into the turning point that subtly changes the course of the entire narrative. They think more clearly than they have in a long time as darkness draws near. They start realizing that sincerity is far more important than perfection rather than practicing ideal talks. They picture themselves gazing into your eyes without pretending that life has been simple. They imagine acknowledging that there were times when pride overruled their emotions and they persuaded themselves that they had moved on despite their gut telling them otherwise. They cease attempting to anticipate your reaction for the first time. Regardless of the consequences, they just conclude that you deserve the truth. That decision results in an unanticipated calm. They start to breathe more slowly. Rather than being pushed, their smile comes back organically. Something has changed, even for those closest to them. Since the answer is readily apparent, they don't ask many questions. Someone who has finally stopped avoiding what really matters has a peaceful assurance. In the background, yet another surprising element starts to emerge. Unbeknownst to them, you have also been leaving behind tiny reminders of moments, thoughts, memories, and hope that gave them courage when they most needed it. They start to view those instances as reminders that real relationships seldom entirely vanish rather than as coincidences. At times, they just wait for one courageous individual to take the initiative. The last preparation before tomorrow arrives as night gradually descends across the sky. They sit down with their phone again, but this time they don't edit endlessly, don't second-guess themselves, and don't erase the words they really mean. Since they are no longer attempting to shield themselves from disappointment, everything feels different. They are attempting to safeguard something far more valuable, the potential for a future with untapped potential. For a split second, their fingers hesitate, then proceed with total assurance. Something unexpected hits them at that precise moment. Just a quick reminder. A familiar recollection. It seems as though life itself is subtly urging them to persevere right now, a small detail that is connected to you and appears at the perfect moment. Instead of regret, a quiet resolve fills their gaze. Whatever comes next, they promise themselves that they would never again let fear override their emotions. However, right before the eagerly anticipated message is ready to be sent, something entirely unexpected that wasn't there a moment ago shows up on the screen. It's not a failure. The news is not horrible. They pause, smile, and understand that tomorrow is going to happen in a way that neither of you could have predicted. It's a realization so profound. One unexpected notification subtly alters the mood just when everything appears to be set to proceed. It's not overly dramatic. It's not startling. It's just a photo, a forgotten note, an old discussion, or a reminder that shows up just when they need it most. After a few silent moments of staring at it, the doubt that has surrounded them for so long gradually gives way to an unmistakable smile. They realize all of a sudden that some memories aren't meant to keep people in the past. They serve as a reminder of what is still valuable to defend. A far stronger emotion replaces the anxiety of speaking the wrong thing. Thankful that there is still potential for our relationship to develop. They no longer consider tomorrow to be a deadline. They see it as a chance to develop into the person they ought to have been all along. Sincere, attentive, and open to speaking from the heart. If you have been moved by this journey thus far, think about sharing it with someone who thinks that deep relationships should be given another chance. Leave a comment below if you've ever had the guts to express what really mattered before it was too late. Someone at a similar juncture might find inspiration in your experience. Don't go now, though, for the quiet truth that has been hiding beneath every unsolved question will be revealed in the coming moments. As the twilight softens, they start listening to their own hearts for the first time in a long time rather than practicing flawless phrases. Every hypothetical dialogue gets easier. No big pledges. No unrealistic expectations. Just be truthful. I don't want to lose what we could become just because I stayed silent, they imagine. That one sentence is more powerful than all the speeches they had previously rehearsed. They understand that perfect timing is not the foundation of true interactions. When two people decide that vulnerability is more powerful than pride, they are created. There is a lighter feeling in the air. It seems as though the world has slowed down long enough for this moment to breathe, even commonplace sounds. Another insight silently dawned somewhere in the midst of that serene quiet. They were terrified of losing you, but they had overlooked something just as crucial. Perhaps you were waiting for an indication that they were at last prepared to come out of hiding. They are filled with hope and humility at the same time. Although it doesn't ensure the future, it offers them something even more precious: the bravery to approach it with an open heart. Everything around them starts to feel oddly significant as the last few hours before tomorrow silently draw near. There is a slight increase in the warmth of the lights outside the window. The air is quieter at night. Their phone now lays in their hand as the start of a conversation they have been carrying inside for far too long, rather than as a sign of hesitancy. They realize that finding the right words is no longer the goal after taking a single, steady breath. It's about ensuring that the most significant individual in their lives never has to question how much they were appreciated. They get ready to take that last step with quiet confidence because they think that sincerity always triumphs over silence. However, as they are about to hit send, something else unexpected happens. It's not a communication from another person. It's not a coincidence. It's such a profoundly personal understanding that it alters not just what they are going to say, but also how they will say it. And they won't just ask you to stay when those words eventually leave their hearts tomorrow. They will expose the one truth that they have kept hidden for far too long, a truth that has the power to start a whole new chapter that neither of you has ever dared to dream of. At last, the first light of tomorrow appears, bringing with it a serenity they have never experienced before. Their heart is not pounding, they are not constantly second-guessing themselves, and they are not tempted to take back the words they have carefully carried throughout the night. Rather, a subtle confidence takes hold of them. They understand that never being honest was the biggest risk. Pretending that their feelings could wait forever meant letting another day go by. They take one last look at the morning sky as the world gradually awakens, finishing one chapter before beginning another. Every recollection that used to make them feel guilty now serves as a reminder of their progress. The miscommunications, the protracted silences, and the times when you were on the verge of reaching each other but stopped short no longer feel like failures. They seem like stepping stones to this very morning. One kind idea occurs to them before anything else. Even the longest silence can start the most meaningful conversation if two people are willing to meet honestly rather than with preconceived notions. They find the strength they've been looking for all along with that notion. At last, they stopped second-guessing themselves and let their hearts to speak. Even though the words are straightforward, each line conveys everything they had previously been unable to articulate. They acknowledge that one thing remained constant, regardless of how hectic life was or how many diversions there were. You are still important. They clarify that since fear has already cost you both enough time, they don't want to cling to it any longer. They don't want perfection. They don't anticipate prompt responses. All they want is the opportunity to create something real, one open dialogue at a time. Every bit of uncertainty is replaced by an amazing sense of tranquility as the words escape them. They stop questioning if they did enough for the first time in what seems like forever. They are aware that they have at last. Then a beautifully unexpected thing occurs. They see a subtle but clear indication that their bravery has already started to alter the narrative before doubt has a chance to reappear. A well-known answer. A kind grin recalled at the perfect time. A sense that the gap between two hearts is closing. Silently, it is vanishing. All of a sudden, the future seems less like a mystery and more like an uncharted territory just waiting to be discovered. As the day goes on, they will realize why this message needs to get to you by tomorrow. Dramatic urgency was never the goal. It served as a reminder to both hearts that genuine relationships require understanding before presumptions, hope before fear, and honesty before hesitancy. This journey, which started out uncertain, is now full of opportunities. The decisions you both make with open hearts will write what happens next, not silence. They are smiling because they have finally stopped letting fear dictate their destiny, not because all the answers have been revealed. And that might be the biggest turning point of all. The loudest remarks aren't always the most significant ones. Sometimes, just when two individuals are finally prepared to hear them, they arrive silently. Perhaps this story's most important lesson is elegantly straightforward if it has reached you today. Never undervalue the strength of a true heart that chooses bravery over hesitation. Because the most meaningful action is to stop pursuing perfection when someone genuinely doesn't want to lose you. It's making the decision to arrive with integrity, compassion, and optimism while there's still time for a fresh start.